Hey everybody, John M. here from Sober Speak, and it is New Year's Eve 2018. I was on my way up to the microphone here to record an introduction for one of the outstanding episodes that I have, which is going to be released coming up here in the near future. And my wife said on the way up to the microphone, she said, "Why don't you record a Happy New Year's message?" And I said, "No, I don't want to do that." And then as I started to make this introduction recording for this other episode, I realized that this is the first anniversary for Sober Speak. And I was filled with gratitude. And I thought, I'm going to sit down and record something here. We'll see if it comes out the way I think it's going to come out. If it does, great, I'll release it. If it does not, that's okay. I can always hit the delete button. But, I've been thinking about you guys, really, and I've been thinking about what I could possibly say, what I could share behind this microphone that would help you in your recovery in 2019. And if you're out there and you're listening to this, there's probably a reason that you're listening to this. Most people just don't accidentally end up coming into an AA room. They don't accidentally end up listening to a recovery podcast. And especially if you are new into sobriety, I want to say, listen to that small voice inside you, pulling you along into recovery, if indeed that is happening. I would say follow that voice, that sixth sense, whatever you want to call it, and just take that next step. I can tell you this. I personally was in and out of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous for 3 years, and I know what that journey is like. I know it's hard. The only thing that I did right, so to speak, is I did not quit coming into the program, and I did not quit going to meetings. And eventually, one day at a time now, it's stuck for quite a few 24 hours, only by the grace of God. But I bring the men and women to the Sober Speak mic that I bring them here so they can share their experience, strength, and hope so that you may see that there is a better way, and so that you can know there is a way out. It doesn't have to be like this every single day for the rest of your life. And as it says in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Now, I'm not saying AA is the only way to get sober, but it's the only way that I have found that worked for me, and there are countless others that have found the way out with the big book and Alcoholics Anonymous as well. So I have had a lot of questions I've had this one question come up repeatedly is what I wanted to say. Both people that I know personally and other people through email and such, and they'll ask me, how come you decided to start Sober Speak? Where did that come from? And I just thought that this may be a good place and time to cover that again. And me and my bride, my wife, were at a party about a year ago at this time of year. Right? It was in December of 2017, and we were talking to a gentleman who goes to my home group. His name is Alex, and Alex is one of these guys who sits in the back of the room usually, not to try to hide. He's just not real, I guess what you would call, he doesn't like a lot of attention, I'll put it that way. And when he gets called on, Alex, generally speaking, will either pass or he will just say in a few very succinct words what he needs to say. And it's usually very valid and very funny. But he doesn't speak a lot. And so I had known Alex for, I guess, 2, 3 years, something of that nature. I could be off by a year or so, but I got him so I cornered him at the party. Both me and my wife did. And I started asking Alex some questions. His name is Alex Z, by the way. And started asking him some questions about his sobriety, where he'd come from. I said, like, tell me your story. And he started to go into this story about he was in Iran back during the hostage crisis of the 1970s. And his dad, I hope I have this story right. His dad wanted to get them out of Iran, and he had to pay the government a large amount of money. And then they kind of had to set up a ruse, and they said they were going to leave the country temporarily, and then they were going to come back. And then his mom was in Germany already, and they went and met his mom, and then they never came back. So basically, he had to escape the country, and his dad made all that happen. And then once they got to Germany, what are they going to do, right? So they went from Germany to the United States of America. They ended up landing in L.A. somewhere, and Alex was a Muslim, born into a Muslim family, I should say. And it was absolutely, and when he got to LA, they were reading what they called the Persian version. And so when my wife and I were on the way home that night, we said to ourselves, in fact, my wife said, that should be a movie. And so I said, you're right. And I just could not let that conversation go. And I started thinking to myself, there are people in AA who are, they can really, spin a yarn, if you will. They could tell their story. They're very articulate about getting it all out there. And I thought to myself, how do we get a story like Alex out there into the public? And then I thought to myself, I couldn't let it go. Then a couple of nights later, I couldn't get to sleep one night, and all of a sudden the word podcast came into my brain. And I thought, podcast? I know absolutely nothing about podcasts. What do you mean podcast? And I couldn't let it go. And a couple of days later, I woke up and I asked my wife, I said, listen, if I wanted to just, somehow figure out how to make a podcast, would you be able to create a website for me? And she did. She created www.soberspeak.com. And so I said, okay, so you can create a website. If you can create a website and I can figure out how to get this story on the website, maybe then a few people that I know out there can listen to this. And so that was really the start of it. Now, the actual first podcast I ever did was with a guy named Mike, Mumbai Mike, we called him. He was visiting our home group, and he was from Mumbai, India, and he just happened to be here because he was going through some family issues at the time. I think it was the death of his father, and so he was here for that. And so I grabbed him out of the meeting one day. I said, "Hey, will you come over to my house? I'm just thinking about recording something. I may publish it." And he was like, "Sure, I'm game for it." And I brought him over here. Didn't know what I was doing. I whipped out a Blue Yeti mic, sat it in front of him, asked him a few questions, and he was able to take up an hour. And I thought, hey, that was pretty easy. Now, the challenging part, though, was getting it all published. And I'm not going to go into all those details, but it was quite hilarious. So anyway, we had Mumbai Mike. And then the second episode that I did was, guess who? Mr. Alex Z. I got him in here to tell his story, and we were able to publish it. And then I thought, okay, well, I got two. And now we're on, like, I don't know, by the time I get this published, 55, 56, 57, something like that. So we're up there. We have many episodes. And so before I forget to close this, before I forget and close this out, I want to thank, number one, my wife and all the work that she's done with me throughout the year. She's been a great help. She's the one who publishes all these episodes at the website every week, and she's just been a great help. I want to thank all the people, all of you folks who have contacted me by either email or Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and all your comments and all your positive feedback and all the stories that you have given me, your experience, strength, and hope. That's what keeps me going. It's what gives me gas in the tank. It's what helps me to go on to the next episode. And I truly, truly do appreciate all the feedback. I also want to thank all the guests that have come in here. We've had 50 plus guests that I've either interviewed remotely or one-on-one here in the SoberSpeak studio. And I'm just so grateful. These people come in here and they're vulnerable and they're emotional. They give me everything that they have and they share their experience, strength, and hope. And I just can't thank them enough. I'm so thankful for all of you from the bottom of my heart. And this podcast it's changed me. It's changed me and it's changed the trajectory of my sobriety. It's opened up my eyes and my heart to you all, and it's helped me to see recovery in a different way. And it has somewhat softened me. And so I want to let you know that I am still praying for you guys. I know that 99% of you I do not even know, nor will I ever meet, nor will you reach out to me. And that's okay. It's in 45 plus countries across the world. And you mean the world to me. I was praying for you last night. I was praying for you before I started recording this session today. And I'm just telling you, you're on my mind and my heart and in my thoughts. They say, and I'll close it out with this, that each of us is like angels with only one wing. And the only way we can fly is by embracing each other. The members of Alcoholics Anonymous and the members and you all have been my other wing. And I cannot thank you enough for that. Once again, each of us is like angels with only one wing. And the only way we can fly is by embracing each other. Thank you. Thank you so much for being my other wing for all these years. May God bless you and keep you until then.